Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain Exchange, and I'm here to help beginners get started in China painting. But if you've been painting a while, I hope you'll join us and paint along with us, because today we're working on something that's not necessarily a beginner project. It's a little more difficult, but I think a beginner could do it if they really wanted to. And that's our sparrow with Forsythia. Now this is the way my sparrow turned out. And I think he turned out pretty cute. The sparrow was obviously the focus here. The branches we just blacked in a solid color just to get the branches done. And it will be Forsythia when we're done today. This is Forsythia. They come in single branches, and each branch blooms, kind of like a red bud. And it blooms right on the branch. And then the shoots come out. So as these flowers fall off, each one of these will become leaves like this. These are the branches, and they go anywhere from the brown like this, and they have little speckles on them. See that? They turn kind of a gray a warm brown green as they get older. So as you're painting these, you can put multiple colors. The colors you're going to be using are, I have a Copenhagen blue. I have a yellow orange, but you could use right here, but you could use yellow brown, warm brown gray, but you could use gray and mix a little brown with it. This is a Copenhagen gray, but you don't have to use a Copenhagen gray. Any light gray will do. And I have a light gray down here too. I have a Rembrandt. I have a rich brown, which you'll need a light brown and a medium brown. And I also have a black. And then down at the bottom here, I've added for this week, for the Forsythia, I added a mixing yellow. Buttercup would work, primrose would work if you have it. A light yellow is pretty, but it's not really, you're not really going to be backing it up with a lot of shadows. So you want something that's going to pop. So I'm going to mix these two, sunflower and mixing yellow. And then I have a grass green and a warm brown green for the leaves on the Forsythia. As far as brushes, I think you probably, if you have one of these, great. This is what we call a texturate brush. We've called it a fur brush too. It's from Scharf. Here's the information on it if you're interested. And it's a French brush. It's a nice brush, 1/4 inch. And I use the side of it. So not this part, this part. If you don't have that brush, no biggie. Just get yourself a regular brush. Like a 1/4 inch is a good size. It can be any 1/4 inch brush, and just use the side of it, because this is the part you want to use when you're tapping the feathers in. I'm going to take my pencil. This is a second fire, so I've already sanded it. And I'm just going to look at my picture and make sure that I have, like right here, I think it's going to need a little bit of definition. So I'm going to have to make sure that I see the definition there, and I'm just looking to see if there's anything. I think everything else showed up, but right here you see it didn't. And so I want to make sure that as I'm painting, I'm getting that as well. Okay, I'm also going to be using, it's a 1/4 inch too, but it's 1/4 inch Stabilo, and it's one of my favorites, just to put in some of the darker stuff where I need it. I want to caution you, on my first one that I did, it's already at the booth at the store, but I made this too dark up here and his eye was difficult to see. So keep in mind that you don't have to be super dark up there, but you want to be able to see what you're doing. So I'm going to start with the eye, and I'm just going to color it in. Round it out if it's not real round. That's one of the reasons you're working on it, is to make sure it looks the way it's supposed to look. And just add in any more color that you need to. And if you get color where you shouldn't, a Pico-Pay is usually small enough. See, I've got a little bit here. That'll help you wipe it off. Wipe it off on a towel and then go back the opposite direction. And that should lift all the color for you. Okay. So that's my eye. Just wanted to make sure I had the color in it. Now I'm going to go with the fur brush. I'm going to start with a little bit lighter color. I'm going to start with my Copenhagen up in here. I want to add a little bit of Copenhagen. just a little. Don't go too dark on these colors on the second coat. It's tempting. But if you go too dark with these colors on the second coat, you may regret it. You may find that you have, and I want a little dark there, and I want a little dark under here. You may find that it takes away from it. See, I think this here is almost a little too dark. So just tap it out. Okay. And now I'm going to put a little bit of the yellow orange on, or you could use yellow brown, and just tap in the color there. I want a little of that color down in here. And I want a little of that color down in here. Oops. Wrong side of the brush. Here we go. There we go. Tapping in these colors really, I think, helps add a texture for you, especially with this texture up brush if you're using it. But if not, even with your other brushes, I think it makes it look a lot less painted, a lot more realistic. And you can tap right over the black, because you're going to do the black last. So you can tap right over the black so that you get your colors in really well. There we go. I'm going to clean it now and add a little black right up in here. Now, the darkest part's going to be back here. The sun is coming from kind of behind him. So you're going to have the darkest part closest to the white of him. And a little bit of dark right here. And you see how I'm being very careful not to put too much dark on. Because as soon as you put too much dark on, the dark will fire. The light will fire out. So the lighter colors generally fire out, and your darker colors remain. So if you don't want it to look too dark, make sure that you're very careful with how you use your darker colors, because they will remain. I'm going to take a little black on my liner, and I'm just going to give them a little beak there. Maybe a little down here, a little up here. Just a little. And maybe a little up in here. And down here, I wanted to give them a little definition. I'll do that with the black right now. And then I'm going to take this is my stump, and just sort of go through and pull it up and play with it a little bit to make it look more feathery. All right, now I'm going to my 1/4 inch regular brush, just my regular square shader. I'm going to turn them upside down. I'm going to take a little bit of the warm brown gray, but I'm also going to mix a little bit of my gray in with it. And just, oh, I guess I have to do it this way. Sorry, I shouldn't have said it that. And I'm just going to do it here a little bit so you can see the edge of the fur. Remember, I said that I wanted that to show up. Now, I did it with warm brown gray last time, but as you can see, a lot of it fired off, so you do want to play with it. And what I tend to do is, I don't have enough oil. I take and I put the oil on my brush, I put the color on my brush, and then I just tap it. I'm just trying to get some color back in there for him so that he looks like he has some color. And then I'm going to take a tad of cope, turn him upside down, and bring the cope up this way. See how that highlights that? This is Copenhagen blue, if you wonder, what the heck is cope? I want a little brown down here. There we go. And then you can pull it down. and back and kind of swoosh it more. Okay, now remember, if you don't get him quite as dark as you want on this fire, there's no problem with doing a third fire. It's better you put the paint on light and build it up and get it exactly the way you want it than that you try to put it on too dark now and either the black will occasionally chip off. So you have to be very, very careful. And I'm just adding the black here. Don't add it too dark. Always look at it from the side. If you see lumps and bumps, you need to pull that out because you don't want it to have lumps and bumps. That means it's too dark and it's going to chip. And then up in here, I want a little color too. Oh, a little black. Oh, a little too much black on my brush. Like that there. And I'm just adding a little color here. In fact, I think I'm going to go to my my scroller a little. There we go. Sometimes a scroller can get in there where the bigger brushes just can't, and do a much better job for you. So, and play with your scrollers. I didn't know I had this scroller actually. Now I put a little blue with it, a little of the Copenhagen blue with it, because I want to make this tail a little darker, and I'm just going over those markings I put there so that they're there, but they're more they're blended in a little better. And then on the other side, I'm going to take my gray and do gray. Pull it down a little from here, a little from here, and then pull the gray down. You want a white line in the middle, at least on the picture that I'm using for reference. This is a sparrow or wren, so you could use any pictures that you have as references so that you're getting the colors right. Okay. All right, now that's about all I'm going to do on the bird except for the feet. But first I have to do the, let me just add a little more color here. But first I have to add a little color to the branch because I don't want to do that too soon. I'm using my liner because I realize I can get in places with my liner that I can't with any other brush, and that seems to work really well for me. So, okay, so that's pretty much our little bird. There we go. And I want this area up here a little lighter. There we go. And this is disconnecting from his beak right here. See how that's not connecting up in there? So I'll take a little blue and I'll just dab it a little there. That's better. I'm happier with that. Okay, now for the background. I use a pointer to do my Forsythia. I kind of roll it to a point like this. And I'm going to mix the colors. I'm going to start out by doing it with a mixing yellow. And if you look at the Forsythia on the branch, like here, see how it looks? I mean, you could lay one down if you have one from your yard and just go, pew, pew, pew. It has 4 petals, and they just kind of spray out in different directions. you should make the bottom of the petal is a little thicker than the top. So just press and lift. And you're just going to put them everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Some of them come down like this. And you can mix your colors. I'm mixing a sunflower for the center a little bit on those, so you can see it a little bit better. They come down, they don't go up. Once in a while they flip up, but it's very rare. They're usually 4. When you're behind branches, if you can see 1 or 2, you're doing well. And you just pick where you want them to be. They can be small, they can be large, and you're just going to add them anywhere. That's why using a turntable is great. It gives you the ability to flip around and add them wherever it's good. I put my Forsythia on first. You want to have enough oil to keep them flowing. You can clump them. You can make them big. You can make them small. They're very simple. Beginners, this is the flower for you. Now, I know you should probably make one that's... Now, this branch is not a Forsythia branch, at least not in my mind of thinking. The Forsythia is behind him. Press, lift, press, lift. Take a little of the dark, maybe put it in the center. You can also use your yellow-brown, but you don't want to take away too much from your bird. So you don't need to do too much to make these look fancy or make them look good. You can't make too many, I don't think. These will fire out a lot. So you may want to mix a little of that. Like I said, I mixed a little sunflower with them. Okay, now I don't want to get too busy. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I don't think I really want to add too many more, because what you're going to have to do is you're also going to be adding the leaves, but you're also going to be doing the branches. Now for the branches, I take a liner. I take a little bit, like this color here is kind of the brownie gray, so I'm going to use a warm brown gray. This is how I load my brush for that. And I'm just going to kind of come down and add little dots. Come here, you. I'm just going to add a few dots. Just let your brush skip across the branch. Remember, this is all going to be in the background, so you don't want it to be real fussy. You want it to be more almost watercolory. So if you can just get your brush and dance it down. Here, I'll push this up a little so you can see down here. I'm just going to dance it down. I dance it across just to give some texture to those branches and some color to those branches. And then you can take your brush, if you want to put one behind another, for example, and just load it with a little bit of the brown and just put a little like that. Give yourself a little color. But I don't really bother. So now I'm going to take and I'm going to do a little bit of gray and green on this one. Now let's start at the top. It's easier for me. Oops, too green. Hang on. Let's go more gray. It's easier for me to just and where I got too gray up here, I just take and wipe it out. And you can add dots. Because like I said, these branches have a lot of little dots on them. Now I don't like this up in here, so I'm going to take my stump and just sort of pat it with your finger, whatever works to get the color off until you have it kind of the way you want it. Then decide which side of this is going to be in shade and add a little more color on that side. I'm doing this all with a liner, it's just easier. These are very delicate little, there we go. Okay, and now on this guy, I'm going to do it with the gray. There, just add a little color there. And it's a little bit over my little flower here, so okay. We'll fix the flowers in a minute. And you can do the same with the others. This little guy back here. There we go. Down in here. Just squiggle. You can squiggle forehand, you can squiggle backhand, you can add little dots. You just want it to look like trees, and you want it to look like branches, and then just pick a side to add a little bit of depth to give you a little bit of shading, okay? And this little guy here needs a little, there. And then this guy I still have, and I just pick the colors I like. It doesn't matter what colors you pick. Here we go. This guy, I'm just going to make them all speckled. When you do that, you have to have a little more oil than normal on your brush. And you may find that the oil runs. That's fine. You want it to be soft. Don't want that down there. Go right over the top one. And then just add a little. There we go. Okay. Use your fingers, use whatever you have at your disposal to get the way you want it to look. Now my main branch is the one that I really want to have look nice. So I'm going to use a slightly larger brush, and I'm going to use slightly darker colors. And I'm just going to start and, you know, get a piece of stick like this or something, set it by you, and just decide what it is you like about that stick and start adding it. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy. I want a little darker brown here, a little up in here. I'm going to bring it across this way. This is going to be my underside here. Now I noticed that a lot of these little trees have little things sticking out of them. And you can do that too. You can take and add a little, if you want them to have little doodads sticking out of them. Go from the center out and just push. There you go. Okay. Here, just put a couple here on this little guy. And the gray one, I'm going to take a little gray, do the same thing, just push. That's how they grow. If you mimic the way they grow, you'll pretty much get the same look as if they were growing. See them there? Okay, now I'm going to do this brown, go back up here and do the brown. I don't really like that, so I'm going to smear it a little. Maybe get a little warm brown gray in there going. That's better. Do it till you're happy with it. You're the only one that has to be happy with it. Don't worry if it looks like, you know, your teacher's or somebody else's. If this is the way you want it to look, then this is the right way. If you want to add a little bark to it, like this one, the bark kind of goes this way, sideways, then you can do that. And then let me do these guys up in here. It's a very simple way to do branches. I see people agonizing over branches. You know, they want them to look so... Think of watercolor, if any of you are into watercolor. Get it kind of soupy and just let it go, and it will give you all the color you want. See how it's just flowing there? Okay, and then if I want a few of these little guys to stick out here and there, or if I want a little bit of this here and there, you can just do it and suggest it. The bird is the center of attention. The bird is what you're looking at, not whether or not you got the branches right. And let's put his little feet on him now. Come here, you. All right. I want a little more depth in this guy and this guy. Take this out. There we go. Okay, you're going to need to sign this. I'm not putting any sky behind it. What I did at this point was I fired it. And then I put background on. And the reason I did that, I didn't want to wreck anything that I had done. I was pretty happy with what I had done. And you can fuss with this all you want. Now, I also need to put a little green in here. So before I go, I'm going to put a little green on, because I showed you how these guys work. They have this green. See how it comes out like that? So I'm going to take some grass green, and I'm going to make it at this stage, when they're growing like this, it can be just as simple as a single little thing. It can be the little 3 things like this. See this one right here, this little 3. It can be that. It can be this. Let's get it more growing down here, shall we? I think I want to use more of this brush for the bigger ones. And I just do it like this. Oh, see how dark that is? Too dark. There, that's better. Much better. No, I like this better. And I like the grass green. This is a grass green. It's a little truer to what they look like when they're first starting to come up like this. They're usually right by the flower when they start out. And that can also help you highlight the flower if you put a few on each side of the flower. And then you can go back in if you want and add a few centers here and there. I wouldn't do it everywhere. Most of your yellow will fade. If that's the case, you may have to do another fire. Now I will show you what I did for my border. I kind of like it white. I really did. And then I thought, well, what if I just did something to sort of set off the bird? And I did it with a gray around the border. And so I took, I have a dove gray. And I took a dove gray and I just went around the edge with the dove gray. Can you see the dove gray? I'm sorry, I was down too far. You really couldn't see it. It doesn't show up very much. I tried a brown. I tried, and I'll show you. I tried several colors. Here's the brown. Let me, up here, let's try a brown for you so you can see. I thought a brown might look nice. But I just didn't like it with this plate. I also tried a green. And this is how I did it, just like this. And I took the colors that I thought I liked. And I thought, maybe a brown green. That's not bad. I probably could do a brown green. I could do a brighter green. What if I added the brighter green in? That's not bad. But then I thought, I think it takes away from the picture. And I really liked the openness of the plate. So you'll have to decide what kind of background you want. I went with the gray because I thought, you may not even put anything on here. You might just put a gold edge. And I think that would also be very pretty. So pick it up, turn it on its side, look at it, make sure you don't have any paint buildup. Let the light reflect across it. That's very important. Alrighty, pick up those brushes, keep painting. See you next time. Bye-bye. Subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.